This is Peter Arender. I'm Chief Investment Officer at Fortress Fund Managers. Well, this week things were heating up in Glasgow, as many people may have heard about the climate change conference that was happening there. On Wednesday, about 500 major global banks and other financial institutions made an agreement that might be relevant for us for the next number of years. They agreed some targets in terms of reaching net zero emissions, both for the institutions themselves as well as the companies, especially large companies, that they lend to, with an objective of limiting greenhouse gas emissions. So the natural question that comes up is, what's the link between these financial institutions and climate change? Well, number one, probably some politics. Number two is some risk management, because banks all have an interest in avoiding the potential for stranded assets and increased regulatory risks. I think there's also something that's relevant, and this is why it might matter to all investors and people who might wish to borrow from a bank, is that this is maybe a way that banks can profitably fund this transition that needs to happen, and a way to invest money in a world that is awash with capital right now. So it's quite possible, I think, that before long, this type of thinking about the emissions aspect of any loan that a bank makes becomes something we all take for granted and find in everyday life, just like other elements of regulation for financial institutions. In terms of the markets this week, I think the Fortress funds will be mostly flat. Investments were up in the US, down slightly international and emerging, and the Caribbean was quiet while bonds were little changed. And that is it from here.